Greetings, one and all. Welcome to the final panel session of the 13th edition of the Best Practice Meet. This session is about demystifying the paradigm shift of evolving cybersecurity. To give a session overview, the session will highlight the key trends observed in the Indian cybersecurity landscape and explore the transformational shift in the organizations while understanding the evolving cybersecurity priorities, as is the theme of our report. I would like to call upon stage the moderator of the session, Mr. Siddharth Vishwanathan, partner and leader, cybersecurity, PwC India. Can I have Mr. Siddharth on stage, please? Thank you so much. Now I would like to invite the rest of the panel on stage. To start with, Mr. Narayan Raman, GGM CISO of ONGC. Hello, sir. Next, we have Mr. Nagamohan Golangi. He's the DGM CISO of Bank of India.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, sir. And last but not the least, we have Mr. Pankaj Kumar, Chief Internal Auditor of CIET. Yeah, Mr. Pankaj on stage. Right, I think that's my mistake. In the meantime, I would request Mr. Siddharth to give the opening remarks and set the context for the session. Over to you, Siddharth.
Thanks, Anand. Thanks for bringing us on, and great to meet you, Mr. Nagamohan and Mr. Narayan Raman. So pleasure to have both of you on the panel, and I'm sure we're going to have an engaging conversation. So I think from a cyber perspective, a lot has changed in the last 18 months. Pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, there's been a big change just in terms of the number of cyber attacks on entities in India. It's grown by a multiple of 3x. So that's 300% growth in terms of number of attacks. I think the complexity of attacks is also changing. But what is leading to this change is also interesting to see. I mean, is there something that's happening in the world of threat actors in terms of more skilled technology professionals not having mainstream source of employment? Is that sort of adding to the workforce in the cyber criminal domain? So what are the trends there? Would be interesting to go peel the onion out there. I think the other element is what's happening in terms of organizations. I mean, we've seen this change in work from home, work from anywhere as one theme, and there are multiple such themes. So how is that leading to an increased attack surface? So we'll talk about this as well as the priorities for organizations and much more. So maybe let me start with Mr. Narayan Raman, with yourself. So do you want to reflect a little bit about how are you seeing the threat landscape change? Sir, you are on mute.
Yeah, now am I audible?
Yes,
you are.
Definitely it is the thing is this the pandemic has almost, there was a knee-jerk movement towards VPN and connectivity and all that. So the organizations were not prepared for such a big change. We had certain connections for VPN, which were for some very specialized kind of a thing, and all those special accounts and all that. But on such a large scale that every employee will be working from home and connecting from remote, that scenario was not very clear, very well thought of, and that we were not prepared and we were taken by surprise. But nevertheless, the organizations geared up for that. And the second thing is the other challenge which was met by our IT team was the pandemic has thrown all those people also back into home who are otherwise to come and work in the IT setup and the data centers for getting enabling all those things, all those connections and configuration of the servers and routers and firewalls and stuff like that. So this was all done in a hush manner, and that really that was liable to open a lot of threats. But fortunately, we also had some very wonderful ONGC, particular our department, and it may be applicable to many other departments also. They have grown over a period of time, and already they lot of perimeter security was made in that. Lot of strides into the perimeter security, and lot many things, the checks and balances were there at the perimeters. So those were very handy in that. And but nevertheless, the main challenge right now is the endpoint device, and we have adopted a restrictive kind of a mechanism of remote desktops, and with only no write facility and all those things, and that's why we did not experience that kind of any attack specifically attributable to the pandemic. But definitely, I would say that this has opened up the new dimension and challenge to the cyber security, and there were some instances which were reported from various law enforcing authorities, but they were not due to breach of any kind of this VPN and stuff like that. They were due to some other things like phishing attacks and all those things. That was due to mostly the individual's problem, but there we were quite comfortable, and we just sailed through that. So this is it. And but definitely there's an increased attacks, increased the total ecosystem which is there, comprising of China and North Korea and other players, which are basically in our kind of organizations. These kind of being critical organizations, they play vital role. So there has been an increase. There has been an increase, and we are to definitely there is a multiple times we do those kind of things. Some web servers which are exposed to internet, lot many times they have been compromised. So those things are increased.
Sure,
So
sure. No, I think that those are some great points. So clearly, work from home is creating increased risk, increased attack surface for threat actors, and I think you also make a great point around the geopolitics of it, right? So the way the geopolitics is playing out, I mean, a lot of warfare is not going to be fought on the battlefield. A lot of it is going to happen in the cyber world. So absolutely bang on. So I think that's a great sort of dimension that you threw in. Thanks for that, Mr. Narayan. Pankaj, maybe let me bring you in here. So apart from work from home, work from anywhere, what else is happening in the business context that's leading to an increased attack risk or increased vulnerability to organizations? Pankaj, over to you.
That's a good question. Actually, I will give a very simple narrative to establish what you're asking. In good old days, we used to protect our flats by putting up security. Then we started preventing our buildings, security downstairs. Then it became a society that how do we protect the society, and then city, etc. So the biggest challenge is that now, because of the digitalization and work from home, now everybody is connected through a digital platform to all of us. In good old, I think even before pre-COVID, the systems were mostly interconnected system within the organization, or maybe a very close set of vendors were connected. Now in this pandemic, what happened that because customers were also offline, and so we connected everybody to our system. How do they place their orders? How do they see their outstandings? How do they view? How do they make the payments? So the horizon expanded from internal organization to external world, and which has become now huge. Even as a security chief risk officer, when I used to see that what all systems are there and protecting me, preventing me inside the organization and my periphery systems. Now I have to look at my vendors, my dealers, even my customers, because now they are also directly connected to me. Even if I am protecting my system fully well, and if their systems are unprotected, so my risk has now become unimaginable, because still we are grappling with that. But that is the way the system life is going to go on, and I can see that increasing more and more, because now we are experimenting with blockchain. So when we go for a blockchain, then I have to give access even for the transaction to my external customers, vendor, dealers, to post something into my system. And so I am again opening one more avenue, and where the cyber horizon is going, I think it is going infinite, Siddhartha, and that is what, as a risk officer, and in the coming times, which will be a challenge for many organizations together. And now we know that as a good old IT and financial organizations were anyway to a large extent protected, because they were always known as vulnerable to these attacks. But now the manufacturing and selling organizations, which always thought that I have to protect my Outlook, I have to protect my SAP kind of thing. And now they are going, and we are going now to many peripheries. There are a lot of SFDCs of the world and the vendor portal and a dealer portal kind of thing. So every single platform getting added to my IT cloud is adding a risk to us. And I can ensure the risk which is inside. It is like I can say that, okay, my society is protected, but if my town has to be protected, then maybe a police commissioner has to give me that assurance. I cannot ensure that. So now the cyber is becoming like that who is protecting to what level and who is going to protect what. So this has actually now brought, I will say it's not a challenge, it's a very interesting phase in India in particular if I see. And of course, globally also, it's a very, very critical phase. And as Narayan Saab was saying that, of course, geopolitical things have added to that dimension. And good old days, the cyber attacks were for some money. So some fraud happening, transferring this money from here and there and kind of. Now the sabotage is the biggest risk which I see for the organization across. Because as the war will be fought on that how do we bring down one organization or two organization or 10 organization, and those organizations which are government will be of course the first level, but second level some big one, and which we have seen a bit across the world. Even in recent past, one of our ports got attacked. So say a port gets disabled for a few days, means that is the biggest damage to not only country as a whole but businesses also as a whole, because the container is struck. So this is where I see this attacks going. Now, cyber attack have one more dimension which is more risky these days, and which with my practical business knowledge, I have spent most of my time in business, is that in good old days, you used to attack organizations for some money or for some disruption. Now it is somebody, now a young generation also trying to test their knowledge by attacking the organizations. If you read a report on NASA, maybe a 10-year-old child get to the 4 layers of the security of NASA. And this is now something which we never thought of. We always thought there'll be an attacker, will are professional, will ask for money, and one more aspect to that is the data now. I think the data is at the biggest risk. Now this is gone are the days when people will come, ransomware of course is a reality, but few crores are not. The data which is now multiple crores and which has no value, actually no value in financial terms, but it is a big value for organizations. And data is finally under big attack. I will tell you a very interesting thing. We put everything, we put VPN for work from home, etc. And I always used to ask to my guys that what if somebody takes a snapshot when a confidential try is getting presented? What will we do? And everybody said we can't do anything because I have logged everything, no pen drive, no copying, nothing. But if something is on their screen and somebody takes a photo of that, so that data is gone. And now some solutions we don't know. You people, expert like you people, have to come and think about that. What to do on that. But data security is, I think, one of the biggest challenges which I see. And geopolitical challenges where people will sabotage, not for money, for disruption, is the second biggest challenge which I see, which is going to, we are going to face it sooner or later. And because those people are not after money, they will be not after money. They will not ask for some ransomware, your data is here or there. They will just sabotage. And sabotage means that disruption. And as we can also see, World Economic Forum in good old days, it was risk number 12, 15, then it came to 10, then it became, now it is among top 3 risks for most of the organizations. Whenever, for me also, when I used to predict, it was 15, 16, then it became 10, then 5, 4, 3, 2. Now it is among the top 3 risks. And we see, though we are a manufacturing and selling organization. So this is how this has expanded. And some solutions are there, some solutions are not there. But also we may have to expand this risk thing, not to the risk managers and the IT experts and cyber experts, to the employees also, because ultimately every single employee is a gateway to a cyber attack. Now with these mobile phones, everything on mobiles and laptops, and they're moving around. And now we are talking about the charging station, juicy charging station where you charge on airports, etc. And you are getting hacked. So training every single employee has to become a risk officer. This I have been debating inside my organization. And we are doing a lot of training programs on that. I put the best of the class of security system, but somebody does not lock the door. What will I do? The door is open. Somebody goes and plugs in his system in some other thing. And of course, home Wi-Fi is anyway a challenge, but VPN is one solution which you find out. And continuous geo tagged password expiries. So if you are moving from one IP to another or one geography location to another, systems getting logged out and asking for an OTP, etc. So those are very basic things being done. But how do we train our employees that what they should do or what they shouldn't is another phase which is in our internal circle. There's in a circle of influence of us. But the external attack, how do I now secure my customers' laptops and systems, and my dealers' laptop and system, my third-party laptop and systems? Because if that I don't secure that, then by securing my home, my flight, my apartment is not going to solve it. That is what is a challenge I see, and which has started happening across.
Sure. No, Pankaj, I think you made some really good points. Clearly we are living in an interconnected world, and there is no perimeter really today. So perimeter security is a old school way of thinking, because we are so interconnected. I think you also made a point around how we are we are dependent in terms of our security on not just what we do for ourselves, but what our vendors do, what our customers do, because everybody is connected. The IT systems are interconnected. There's the entire focus around API security. So I think, and then of course, last but not the least, your point around saying security awareness has got to be key. Every individual needs to be much more aware, because you can invest in technology, but unless people are using the technology in the right way, it's not going to help. So I think some great points made by you, Pankaj, there. Maybe
And
let me.
just one interesting incident I will share, that now we have those connected vehicles. Many companies have come up with that. In our society, it recently happened. A person was very, when he used to come in the morning, his vehicle looked to be warm. And he said how the vehicle was standing in my parking for the whole night. And then after a few days, we found that somebody was switching on the vehicle from his mobile. Now, this is what is a Bluetooth connected, that you can switch on your vehicle sitting in your flat and try to switch on the AC for a comfort. And and it was some kids who was doing that. So by default, something was done, and the guy was there, and he was switching on the vehicle. Now, see this interconnected world, how it is going to play chaos with all of us. We also have our connected home. Alexa, do this, and Alexa, do that, and kind of thing. So, besides organization, it is going to now hit in our personal lives also. That's a big challenge.
Absolutely. So, the entire focus around, IoT security is got to increase. Clearly, I think some great points made by you, Pankaj, there. Mr. Nagmohan, any reflections on the threat landscape, and then of course I'll try and change gears to move more on around how do we protect ourselves. But any reflection on threat landscape?
Sure. Um, Thank you. First of all, I thank you, Siddhartha, for the nice summarization of statistics of cybersecurity just you have given in the beginning. That is really good, very nice, very interesting that. So, and it's very nice to interact with such eminent people like Narayan Raman sir and Pankaj Kumar sir. Very nice to interact with you all. See, I am the CISO of a public sector bank. So I see the world from my point of view, which I would like to reflect over here. Maybe it will be useful to the people like you. See, last 1 year, the study was made by NIST and all. Last 1 year, the attacks, the global level attacks. What was the major reason behind these attacks? How they could become successful? This was a study. Very, very interestingly, most of the attacks have happened because of the known vulnerabilities where the patches are available but not applied. Sometimes we talk about very, very high security, excellent solutions and all, but sometimes we may ignore, probably we are ignoring the most basic things. Maybe we are failing there, maybe we have to focus on that. That's what I believe. BAPT, the most of the attacks have happened at the application level and OS level, where the patches have been issued, released, but not applied. So more than 95% of the attacks last year happened because of this. What kind of separate special solution we need to actually avert these attacks? That is the way I'm looking at basically. Yes, these Raman sir and Narayan Raman sir and Pankaj Kumar sir have covered a wonderful this one, from work from home to sabotage to, and you have also talked about API security, and the greatest threat, that is mobile phone. It is the most powerful device as of today, but most dangerous device also, and most vulnerable. Because of its vulnerability, it has become most dangerous. Nothing else. But it's very most powerful also. For as far as functionality is concerned, it is becoming more and more powerful as far as its functionality is concerned. But the biggest problem here is the control of various versions of mobile phones, the firmware, from the firmware level to Android to iPhone, and their versions. Each version has its own weaknesses, and some versions are stopped. Still, the mobile phones are being used, and the patches, even if they are released, they will be released for the latest versions only, and they are also not sufficient because the hackers are faster, too fast for us. It's like a thief is actually, frankly speaking, more innovative than the police. We actually the police learn from the thief. He will innovate something. We learn from him, and we try to plug the loopholes, and he will innovate something else, and we will again rush over there, and we will try to. That's what exactly is happening in cybercrime also. Nothing else. No innovation. Forget about innovation. The small basic things are also not actually being followed by us. I'm telling you, we are talking about excellent things like CASB, zero actually trust technology. And the words are excellent, IAM and all fine. But what about your vulnerability, VAPT points, and how we are addressing them, how we are leaving them without actually any addressing them is one thing. Maybe we have to focus on that most. That's what I believe initially as a CISO of an organization. Okay, number two, the cybercrime part was, I believe, is very, very strongly what I believe. I would like to tell you here. In a normal crime in the world, basically in a normal crime, which is not a cyber crime, a general crime, the criminal will always have a fear while doing the crime also that he may be traced back and punished. That is actually missing in the cyber crimes. We are all of us are fighting against an invisible enemy. Unless we work at a global level, I'm telling you, unless we work towards this, that tracing back the actual individual and see to it that he's being punished. Yes, they definitely see it is a state level attacks. There is a limitation as far as that is concerned. If it is a geopolitical level attacks, that is something different, fine. But other things also, where are we able to trace back the actual culprit? No. Until we work on that, until we are able to inculcate the fear in the mind of the cyber criminal that he may be traced back and punished, we will be continuing to fight with an invisible enemy. He will keep on doing something new, and we will spend crores and crores of rupees. We will add some more solutions continuously, and the system will collapse one day. We cannot continue like this. We have to work in that direction. That's what I believe. Actually, that's what I'm trying to share in this on this platform. As far as that is concerned, I think we can go forward. I have many other things also. Awareness part, basically, I would like to tell you the awareness part also. See, once awareness is there, everything else follows. Awareness is top priority, according to me. Once you become aware, the rest of the things will automatically follow. So we need to spend our resources on generating awareness, as well as the customers also, the general public also. This is one thing we have to focus more. That's what I believe. Because the way the digitization is happening, it is happening at a very fast rate today. Despite of WFH or the pandemic and all, the digitization is not stopping. Actually, it is increasing. The pandemic has actually encouraged people to go for more and more digitization. You will understand what I'm saying actually. Here we have a great challenge. In such a breakneck speed we are digitizing, but the awareness levels as far as cybersecurity is concerned among the general staff is lacking. So maybe we have to focus on that most. That is another point I would like to actually put forth over here. And yes, he is the auditor, chief internal auditor, Shri Pankaj Kumar. So he will probably agree with me. What I believe is the cyber audit. The cyber audit part, just to know my own strengths and weaknesses constantly. And even you can conduct red teaming exercises also on your external network as well as your internal network. If you are an insider, how much you can damage me. So on both the sides. So these red teaming exercises should become a common practice, a regular practice, maybe quarterly for external network, maybe half yearly for internal network. This way, we may go ahead with. Actually, I'm talking towards the solution side of the problems. I would like to focus more on that. So maybe we have to work in this direction. Maybe we try to address the issues this way. That's it for now. We can continue the discussion.
I think in little that you've spoken, you've said a lot. So I think it's some good inputs. Clearly, you spoke about mobile being a source of threats as well. But I think most importantly, what stuck with me is the fact that you mentioned that we are fighting an invisible enemy. And I think that's a very important point that all of us in the community of cybersecurity professionals must understand, and therefore the focus on how do we share and collaborate with each other becomes even more important, because the cyber criminals are actually sharing and collaborating like nobody's business. I mean, it's a complete supply chain of people specializing on different aspects. Somebody specializing on vulnerability exploit research. So, somebody's focusing on building malware. Somebody's focusing on, okay, you've built a malware. Somebody else has found out what are those exploitable vulnerabilities. I will buy this knowledge from you guys, and I will launch the attack. So there's a lot of cooperation, collaboration, coordination happening in that world. I don't think we are doing enough of that in our world. And I think that's the point that Mr. Nagmohan, you're bringing out. I think great points. I'm conscious of the time, but I think it'll be great if we can do a rapid fire, a quick 30 seconds, maybe 2 or 3 points on what are those 2 or 3 things that organizations, as we move forward, need to invest in from a cybersecurity perspective. Of course, we talked about a few things around awareness, etc. But maybe what are the top 2 things or 3 things? Quick rapid fire. We'll do a quick round and then we'll conclude the session. So I'll start with Mr. Narayan Raman first. Your views, sir. You're speaking on mute.
This Mr. Nagmohan has very rightly pointed out about invisible enemy, but we can improve the visibility. There are so many tools are there where the visibility can be made about their actions, whatever they are accessing the information. There are things which provide some visibility. So that visibility is important, and at every level and at every kind of access and other things. That is one thing. We have to have a very big kind of a monitoring mechanism has to be there. Their monitoring has to be increased. That cyber, whatever activity is taking place, the monitoring is visibility. That is the only thing. Otherwise, we cannot do it. That is one thing we have to maintain the perimeter, and wherever the wherever we park our data, there we have to improve the visibility. Second thing is collaboration, which you have talked about. That is also very important, and intelligence is most important feat. So there is a mechanism. Certs are there. India certain is there. We are completely our cards are linked to certain, and we get the feedback. We feed and routine meetings are there. We are very top on their list, and that is how we can improve. So all other organizations also have to take the advantage from the other government and other agencies who provide these intelligence inputs, and also have mechanisms to analyze our whatever traffics are there, and provide us intelligence feeds on what is happening at the global level and at our perimeter level also. Those mechanisms also are very important. So that is, they provide that thing. So that is the second take. And third thing is awareness, of course. This is most important, because I fully agree with my co-panelists that, the things of IoT and other things, at every level we have to improve the visibility. IoT has definitely thrown a different kind of a thing, because that it is a device where not of much of electronics can be built, and too many things cannot be built into that. So those security mechanism have to come back to the where it is accessing. So the apportionment has to be there. So that's a low kind of a less intelligent and low power devices are there. So definitely they are not empowered with that kind of a mechanism to build security right there, except some encryption and sort of that. So those and strict identifications of them, and they have to be put. And if the organization the access mechanism have to have on multiple factors, that user as well as the identification of the devices. Every level we have to have it, and that has to be very strict access control mechanism have to be there.
Sure,
These
sure.
are the three main things. And one more last thing is that endpoint security, which is very important. Right at the source, we have to, when the user and laptop, which is they're doing the remote kind of a thing, it has become very important. So we have to have some mechanism so that the laptop, the whatever devices they are accessing, they are hardened and they are not used for some other stray purposes or multiple purposes which are unsafe in nature for the from the organizational perspective. These are the four takes.
Thank you, Mr. Narayan. Mr. Nagmohan, keep it brief and top 2 or 3.
Yeah, I'll keep it very brief. I know that you don't have time. So according to me, I have already covered awareness and all. The 84% of the total attacks, software level attacks, are by application security. 2/3 of application security happens because of SQL injection. SQL injection is so simple that it can be addressed at the time of actually developing the program itself. So application security part, that is to be taken care. 2/3 in the world are being actually, that simply nobody is checking for the application security while you are taking an application. That is one point. Regular VAPT testing and regular red teaming are my next 2 points. I would like to actually, as an organization, you have to follow. That's what I believe. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks. And thanks for keeping it crisp as well. So, Pankaj, again, top 2 or 3 things, very crisp.
Just one thing is that we need to collaborate. In India, we have an habit of do it yourself. We need to collaborate with the experts, because don't try to fix everything inside. And that is where the damage is done, because when you try to fix it yourself and the experts are there around, take the help of experts and work on the root cause and eliminate that root cause. That is very important work Mr. Naga also has highlighted. And second part is that the collaboration, when we talk about, then actually in India the culture is to hide the cyber attacks. Then how do we know that what kind of attacks are happening, what organizations are doing? How do we collaborate on a common platform with the experts like Siddharth, you are there? And how do we debate and discuss that? Because if every organization is facing attacks, maybe some are thwarted at the base level, something passes on gate. But do we discuss that? We don't. And that also gives a lot of ammunition to the attackers, because they know that we are not going to discuss with each other and we keep on solving the problem ourselves, or we keep it with ourselves. How many cases are getting reported today of cyber attacks by the organizations across? Nobody reports, because they thought of reputational damage, some other things. So let's keep it. So how do we collaborate on some platform with experts and organizations where they come together and discuss this kind of things are happening and what to do together? That is what is important. Cyber culture, I think cybersecurity culture. We have to build up that culture. The culture is missing.
Sure. No, so thanks. I'm conscious of the time. It's been a great, engaging conversation with all 3 of you. Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you, Mr. Nagmohan. Thank you, Narayan Raman. It's been a pleasure moderating this session. And thank you all for being part of this session and attending this. And I hope this was a useful, interactive session for you.
Very useful.
Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you, Narayan Saab. Thank you, Naga. And
Thank you,
thank you, DSI, for